So let's continue our discussion on leadership and teams. And we've been looking at various models, which is the development of a group of people into a real functioning team. But, what is the objective? The objective, of course, is results. Now, what does that mean? What are we meant to look at? Now, there are going to be a lot of financial results that the financial team present on a monthly basis. But in your operation, what is key for you? Now, we've talked about target image, we've talked about teams and their development from a lack of cohesion to a more mature structure. And we've also mentioned briefly Patrick Lencioni's model of 5 dysfunctions of a team. And in all of these, really, the objective is to get results. Now, how do we do that? Look at this next small segment about performance indicators to really understand why do we do this so that we can do it in an effective way.
So let's take this example of being in a desert. It's an interesting example because all you have is sand and sky, and it's difficult to understand direction. So if we were to wander in this desert and look around, no mountains, no stars, to some extent no sun, it would be difficult for us to understand where to go, and we'd end up wandering in circles. Now, one way to resolve this is to have a stick, a javelin, and throw it out as far as we can in the direction that we want to be in. Maybe throw another one as well. And if we leave one where we were and start moving, we will now understand where we are and where we want to be. Where we want to be will be the target. Where we are is the current situation. And if we look back, we'll be able to see where we originated from. Now, the distance between where we are and where we came from can be measured and assessed, and where we want to go, i.e. to the target, can also be assessed. And this is very similar to key performance indicators. And those bars act like benchmarks, like KPIs that can be measured. And that's what we do in an organization every single day.
So, the example we just saw was a person in the desert. There was nothing that really told him which direction he was meant to go in. It is a very simplified discussion, but it's just to give you the idea that this is what we need to do in our organizations. We need to create targets, make sure the target is correct, and then we need to create benchmarks. And then we can measure our progress and see how we're doing. Now, the question to ask is, how many key performance indicators or performance indicators should we follow? Well, there will be a ton of data, and corporate will require certain basically finance ones, but there are others that we need to meet. And in order to do this, we need to sit with our teams and come up with performance indicators, key performance indicators that are linked to our target and our target image. So look at this next segment about how many key performance indicators should we really have?
So, how many key performance indicators should we really have in an organization? Now, if we take the example of this square and we ask people, okay, what would this look like in a three-dimensional format? They probably come up with a cube. But actually, this could also be a trapezoid. And it could even look like this current object being shown. Now, the reason we're making these mistakes is because we didn't look at the cube or the square from all angles. Very much like we do in operations. We only look in a certain direction. And if we want to be successful in understanding the operation, we need to look from different angles to get a clear grasp. And that forms your KPIs. And you can see here safety, quality, cost, lean. These are examples shown before in prior videos when we talked about target image. And if you have this understanding, then you will be able to grasp the organization properly.
So you've just seen again a very simplistic way, but an important way to understand why do we have performance indicators and how many. And if you have too many, the team won't be focused and they will lose interest. I mean, look at some of the sports games. I mean, the main KPI, let's take soccer, is a goal. It's as simple as that. Now, are there not other statistics? Yeah, there are a ton of statistics. So it's very important to keep your teams focused. And again, I would say your performance indicators and your key performance indicators should go back to your target image, which is basically based on your vision and mission of your operation. Now, there is a danger with key performance indicators that all of us need to keep in mind. The famous example, of course, is the Cobra effect. When the British were ruling India, they had an issue with snakes, too many cobras. And they came up with a great idea. And you cannot actually fault them for coming up with this. They said if people brought in cobra snakes dead, they would pay them. They would pay them for every snake. And so that started working, and the cobra population started dwindling. And then people realized, hey, this could be a great form of business. So what did they do? They secretly had cobra farms where they actually produced cobras, and then they would take them in and get a reward. Now, soon this British government, understood what was going on, and they cancelled this incentive. And this angered the locals. So what did they do? They just set all the cobras out. So what was the result of this entire program? The result was that at the end of it, there were more cobras than there were before. So very, very important. Pick the right key performance indicators. People will have a habit of just trying to meet targets, and they will lose the understanding of why do they have these targets. I mean, we have this other example from the underground train system, where the target was to get from A to B, B being the end of the line, as quick as possible, or at least on target. And what the drivers figured out was they weren't being measured on stopping at stations. So they started missing stations, meeting the target and getting their bonus. So key performance indicators, very, very important for us to understand, very important for us to follow, but more importantly, very important for us to get right.